Every year, the Royal Institute of British Architects holds a competition to find Britain's best new house. And after the success of last year's televised event, I'm giddily excited to say that House of the Year is back with even more of these exceptional homes. We'll be taking you behind normally closed doors. Oh, ow, too small that door. To see some of the most original and mind-boggling houses in the running for this competition, all of which have won the hearts and minds of the judges.
A large, black, charcoal textured box.
We'll be looking at the long list before we discover the shortlisted homes and then finally the winner of this great architectural prize.
Beam me up, Scotty.
It's very zen. And then, at the end of the series, we'll be finding out, here on Channel 4, which one of the homes is the RIBA House of the Year for 2016. These homes are truly remarkable. Each one is an example. We can take inspiration from all of them. So, come inside and have a good nosy around. In this series, we are visiting some of the best new contemporary homes in Britain, which are all in the running for the Royal Institute of British Architects House of the Year. Architecture's sort of BAFTAs. There's such a sumptuous array of buildings to choose from that I've grouped them into some loose categories that suggest where new architecture is heading. We'll be seeing houses that reinvent small spaces. Houses that are exquisitely playful, and houses that make the most of awkward sites. Joining me exploring these glorious homes are architectural designer Damion Burrows.
There's no protecting modesty, is there?
And architect Zach Monro.
It's all about the view, isn't it?
In this programme, we're looking at houses that dare to enjoy the luxury of being built in some of the most beautiful rural settings in the UK. The great architect, Frank Lloyd Wright, said that no house should ever be on a hill or on anything. It should be of the hill, belonging to it. Hill and house should live together and each be the happier for the other. A good building, after all, ought to enhance its setting. This first house doesn't just belong to the hill, it's become a part of it. Right on the border between England and Wales is the Forest of Dean. An ancient, beautiful, and relatively unmolested landscape. So the question is, how do you get permission to build a significant new house on the side of a hill overlooking an unspoilt, beautiful valley like this? Well, the answer is partly with camouflage. You make the house part of the hill. This is Outhouse, a long, low building that projects just one single-storey facade to the open valley. Built of concrete, it's generous at 490 square metres of living space, broken up with 3 courtyards that shelter you from the wind. It's home to 2 artists, Michael and Jean, who each have their own studio here. It is a house of 2 halves. At the front are the south-facing living areas, kitchen, dining, living room and 2 principal bedrooms. Running behind them is a 45-metre-long hallway, almost an interior road, behind which sits the workaday stuff. 2 artist workspaces lit by skylights, a guest bedroom and a plant room. Those skylights and internal courtyards suck light into the building. Remarkably, given its size, it appears very modest from the outside. This, by the way, is the owner's preferred method of transport in the building. Coming into it,
There's an enticing staircase there that leads up to the wildflower meadow. Oh, pretty amazing view out there. And over the threshold, a large, black, charcoal textured box. Look, a garden. And behind that, a kitchen. Next to that, the sitting room, taking in those gobsmacking views. An enclosed garden, another one, second one. It's important because the building doesn't have formal gardens outside, so it captures these formal spaces. And through here, look, this is Michael's studio. Fantastic. Artist at work. Moving on, another little garden there. And then out into the biggest garden, which is where the road stops.
This is a big live-work project for the owners to have taken on.
So tell me about where you were living and why you moved here.
Trying to heat a Tudor house with oil-fired radiators is just hopeless. We wanted to build from scratch because the only way in which you can make an energy-efficient house is to start from the beginning, because you can then insulate the thing massively, which is 9/10 of the job, really.
The house is super insulated thermally and also visually. The RIBA judges light the way its thick green roof runs backwards and up into the hill. It's a world away from what was here before, a run-down farmhouse with garage and pigsty, which stood on the site.
It is a very relaxing building. It seems to be full of a lot of spaces for contemplation.
Yes.
So I wonder, how do you design that in?
Well, I suppose with this one, I should go back to the origin of it. Where do you position a big building in that context? And came up with the idea, well, you anchor it by its history. And so we left the buildings, or the footprints of the buildings where they were, and scooped the meadow over the top.
It took me a while to figure it out, but basically wherever there'd been a building, that's where the black walls are. And then the road represents the road, the track that drove through the farm.
And it was on the line of the old driveway.
Yeah.
It's a lovely architectural trick. Everything is flipped inside out. Each former building that was an inside space is now a courtyard. The old outdoor yards and track are now the new building wrapped around them.
Chris asked us what we liked, and one of the things I said was courtyards. This is the footprint of the pigsty. So we're sitting in the pigsty right now.
There was only one real sticking point on the project. Chris Loyne, the architect, wanted to keep the original building's stone walls.
It was the only battle we had. And we said, no, we couldn't have it because of the pictures. It wouldn't look good.
You need your wall-hanging space.
Yeah.
Because the black is a very good foil for the art.
So we felt terrible about it.
It's your client's home in the end. Architects can become too arrogant sometimes, and I've made my case. I love the stone, but we wanted still to recognise the decisions that we've made about organising a building on the site by retaining the locations and the imprints of the original buildings. So we did them in the black concrete.
I can see straight into Jean's bedroom. And into Michael's bedroom. Scooting into the kitchen. Oh, herb garden. Oh, gravel. Oh, no,
And of course, being artists, they have placed their own mark on the fabric of the building.
Jean's art particularly, she does
Lots
a
of
lot
work with twigs and natural forms.
And it's 50 or so metres long.
Yeah.
She did it.
What? The whole lot?
She's the artist. She pressed them in. Beautiful.
This is an exquisite, poetic place that hums to the creativity of the architecture and the artist.
I can remember coming in for the first time and I was absolutely so knocked out by it. Thought it was wonderful. I rang up Chris and told him, said that I was so thrilled with it.
I arrived here, got into that studio, and I haven't come out ever since. It's been very exciting. And now I can feel very much at one with this space.
You might think that the genius of this place resides in the way that it glints in a come-hither way across the valley, and yet, up close, hides itself into the hill. But I disagree, see, because I think its genius resides in its earthy bones, in the board-marked concrete, these plant markings in these slabs. This building is as disarmingly open, welcoming, warm, and honest as the people that own it.
I hope Outhouse has whetted your appetite to see more of the many astonishing homes on this year's RIBA longlist for House of the Year. But what makes a winner? Last year, Flint House in Buckinghamshire took the prize, astonishing the judges in a display of craftsmanship and almost geological solidity. And its architect, Charlotte Skene-Catling, gets a spot on the jury this year.
We're looking at projects of very different scale, very different complexity.
So what are the judges hoping to find?
I think we're looking for something that is ultimately inspiring, has responded well to a site, trying to sort of make the spaces feel, I guess, lived in as well. You know, a place you can call home is important. This is House of the Year, after all.
We're looking for something that surpasses people's imagination or people's ambition. So each one has a task, if you like, to make the lives of the people that commission them that much better and richer.
Which makes the competition to find just one winner, of course, unbelievably tough. We have 4 more beautiful, bucolic new homes yet to see before we find out which of them are on the 2016 shortlist. Coming up, a loving restoration project in Wiltshire.
The timbers themselves, I mean, they're just fantastic.
You could be forgiven for thinking that the House of the Year award only applies to new buildings. But our next house shows that the RIBA judges value just as highly projects that lovingly bring our architectural heritage back from the dead and make it fit for the 21st century.
Ansty Plum in Wiltshire was built in 1962. Now, pay close attention because this house has plenty of pedigree. It was designed by David Levitt, a famous 60s architect, and it shares the site with a garden studio later designed by yet another esteemed architectural duo. The 165 square metre house has been carefully resurrected into a 2-storey, 2-bedroom home. The ground floor is open plan with a living room and dining room at the front end and a kitchen tucked in behind. The first floor is home to 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. Damion Burrows went to meet owner Sandra and see it for himself.
Hello. Hi, Sandra. How are you?
Ansty Plum.
Thank you for inviting me. This house is amazing. I absolutely love it. This is wonderful.
The interior is a reverential time capsule of classic mid-century modern style. Lovingly restored swathes of natural brick and exposed structural timbers.
The timbers themselves, I mean, they're just fantastic. The slope of the roof, your eye is drawn right to the very top, to the very little apex of the roof up there.
Although the house isn't listed, architects Sandra and her business partner Bev both wanted the renovation to stay doggedly faithful to David Levitt's original design.
His interest was always in low-cost social housing, and he used this project for working through ideas. And I think the fact that it was built on such a low budget for £5,000 probably suited him perfectly, because it demanded that he approach it with a rigour in order to ensure that there was no excess. It's interesting how it's designed. It's based on the size of an 8x4 piece of ply, so that none was cut and none was wasted.
The house is now a retreat for Sandra, husband Nico, and their 2 children, Anna and Eva. But when they bought it, it was in no real shape to live in.
It was over 50 years old. Parts of it had reached the end of their useful life.
Yes.
And it had no heating. It was so cold. It always felt damp. And there was this moment after dinner, my husband went to the fridge and he opened the fridge to put something away. And it was warmer inside the fridge than out. And he sat there like this to try and warm up in front of the fridge. So while it had been loved and looked after, it was in a perilous state. And we understood that we had to intervene quite quickly in order to protect what we felt was a very valuable building. There was a lot of unpicking. It's like your favorite woolly jumper that's been moth-eaten, and you start to have to unravel bits of it before you can start knitting it back together.
I think it's at points like this where you really get a sense of how everything was to an absolute minimum. I mean, these stairs are barely shoulder width. Arriving here in the main bedroom, you really do get a sense of just how close you are to the woodland outside. This is fantastic. I mean, I can just imagine it now, nice sunny day, sat here at your desk working away, and you've got a beautiful view of all of the dense woodland and the lovely wild flower beds. You've got all of your files and your paperwork here that you need, and it's all framed by this beautifully crafted piece of joinery that also doubles as your bedhead. That's fantastic. It's a really nice piece of design.
So, Damion, this is the children's room. This platform was here originally, and then the rest of the joinery we added. And a lot of the reason for adding it was to conceal the pipework so that we could get heating into this room.
It actually feels like downstairs. For me, this feels like a condensed version of the house. You have the same slope of the roof.
And what it does, it allows each of them to have their own space, as if they had their own bedroom, in what is a tiny one-bedroom house.
And their own little private play area as well.
The whole rescue mission took 14 months. The floor had to be taken up, services underneath replaced, insulation and underfloor heating added before new concrete slabs could be relaid. The irony of this project is that it might never have happened if Sandra and her colleague Bev hadn't been out on an architectural tourist trip. It was the studio in the grounds that lured them here. It was designed in the 1970s by Peter and Alison Smithson, 2 of the most formidable British modernist architects of the mid-20th century. Their best-known work is probably Robin Hood Gardens in East London. But the studio is a different piece of work altogether, and it was in need of love.
Oh. This is such a fantastically warm studio. I love this timber panelling that you've brought through from the main house.
We had the original Smithson's drawings, and they showed that the whole place had been lined with plywood.
I love the detail that you have around the windows here as well.
Yeah, it's great. You get so much more light than you'd expect, actually, coming through these very narrow windows.
It's almost like a sort of archer's slot, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. Peter Smithson called this Fort Rigby, and apparently the children used to shoot bows and arrows out through the windows.
Passers by. Oh, wow. This is gorgeous. It's a real treat.
The RIBA judges couldn't help but admire the way this place has been faithfully refreshed with such dedication.
This really, truly is an amazing project. Would it not just have been easier to build a new house from scratch?
We were not tempted for a moment. We recognised that this was something very, very special, that had somehow slipped through the 20th century virtually unnoticed.
For us, it's such a magical place.
Homes are dynamic things. They're constantly evolving. But I suppose one thing that I would like is that before I die, I'd like for it to be listed.
The renovation of Ansty Plum is a shining, fitting tribute to the original. The next house, however, won the judges' attention for a very different reason. Its ability to hide.
I'm in Angus in eastern Scotland, and it's a place that's not just rural, but it's agricultural. And if you're going to build a new home in a working landscape like this, then you're going to have to make it fit in.
And Zinc House does just this by borrowing the language of nearby agricultural buildings to look as much like a barn as a house. Actually, it truly is a reborn collection of abandoned farm sheds. This is a 525 square metre, 4-bedroom house. On the ground floor, there's a family room, kitchen, dining area and open-plan living room, and a guest bedroom. Upstairs, there's a master bedroom, study and 2 more bedrooms. And nestling close by is the garage with a home office above. The architect, Graham Sutton, was praised by the RIBA judges for tackling one of the questions of the moment. What should we be building in our rural landscapes?
We wanted to make something that basically situated itself into the landscape almost invisibly, but make a very modern house. It's sometimes quite difficult in big open spaces to actually ground buildings in their place.
While it signs itself off as a metal shed on the outside, on the inside it's anything but.
Hiya.
Jack, come on in.
Thank you. What a lovely barn.
Thank you.
It's really bright. It's really bright, isn't it?
Yes. Even on a cloudy day.
And a fantastic view.
That's one of the reasons that attracted us to this site. We've lived in the area for a long time, and when the opportunity came up to look at building a house here, then we jumped at it.
IT consultant Richard lives here with his wife Jackie.
We like the large open plan idea and lots of glass to let light in, because the views and the light here is spectacular, and it changes obviously from day to day.
The interior is the opposite of agricultural. Plain, sleek, and in no small way luxurious.
If you're starting from scratch, you can do stuff like this, can't you? You can have a really clean cantilevered piece of kitchen.
Yes.
It's quite solid.
Very solid, yeah. You'll be able to sit on there, no problem.
Hey, it's quite odd to be able to sit on something that's sort of 2 metres hanging in the air. But actually really nice. It does free the space up.
It works very well, because I think the kitchen's very important to us. We spend a lot of time in the kitchen. We both enjoy cooking. We certainly spend a lot of time of the day just sitting in the kitchen.
This could be a 21st century farm on the outside that contained a modernist villa within, with, here and there, some suitably modest spaces. The excitement of this place lies in its accomplished respect for both its occupant and its setting. It nurtures people and resonates with its place. And with such a pressing need for more rural homes, it shows how we might build housing schemes in the countryside.
I mean, I see this as a sort of prototype, actually, for housing in the landscape. I think that's important.
We've now seen 3 of the 5 houses that have made it onto the long list. 2 more strong but very different contenders to go before we discover which are the chosen few. Coming up, California dreaming in Cornwall.
Having that volume above you, it really does frame this incredible widescreen view.
For centuries, the great architects of Western civilization have pursued the ideal of the perfect villa. Both Vitruvius 2,000 years ago and Palladio in the 16th century defined it as the rural home of the gentleman and lady, a home offering respite from the city and civilized, leisurely, contemplative refreshment. We'd recognise that as a boho house rural hotel spa masquerading as a farm, of course. Anyway, in the 20th century, Le Corbusier set the modern benchmark in terms of light, shadow, space. And our next house in Cornwall brings the idea into the 21st century, reimagining the villa as a contemporary Californian home. Perched right on an estuary is a house that seems to defy gravity. The RIBA judges loved the mysterious and dramatic entrance. Zach went to investigate. The 282 square metre, 4-bedroomed house is laid out in an L shape over 2 floors to capture the best of the views.
Upstairs, on one side of the double-height entrance, are the main living room, dining area and kitchen. In the other wing, there's a master bedroom, a guest bedroom and a study. Downstairs are 2 more bedrooms, another study and a family room. But the most audacious thing here is the house's 11.5-metre-long cantilever, which juts right over the vertiginous site. It belongs to Helen and Paul, who swapped a hectic London life for a slice of Cornish living.
What a house. Oh, wow.
Come on in.
Thank you. Oh, gosh. Wow. That's one hell of an entrance.
So here it is.
Wow. Wow, that's quite unbelievable. What an incredible view. Is this what it was all about?
It was a big part of it. It was a change in lifestyle, and it was all about getting the maximum view. And what the architect's done is really extend it hugely. So we've now got a view from pretty much every single room in the house. We were both working flat out in London and just decided that, you know, enough was enough.
We wanted more of an outdoor life and to have much more link to the natural environment and the views and the life that you can have with it.
They live here with their teenage daughter, Holly. Removing the site's previous house was first on their to-do list. Holly helped get the demolition ball rolling. With the site cleared, over the next 15 months, 12 tons of steel and timber were carefully crafted together to build the frame. But this temple of glass and brick isn't the first of its kind alongside the estuary. Just below is Creek Veen, one of the most famous modernist houses in the UK, built in 1966 by a very young Richard Rogers and Norman Foster. The house is dramatically divided into 2 pavilions, with the entrance between. It was built from just blockwork and glass. It was way ahead of its time. A tough act to follow for architect John Pardee.
I was intimidated because Creek Veen is right below it. And that is one of the great houses in the UK. So I was like, oh crikey, I want to be compared to that. It was very angular, very simple, very beautifully detailed. That's inspiring for any architect. Any great house transcends its time. It has a touch of timelessness. So I wanted to kind of pay respect to it, no way copy it, although the plan pays some homage to the fact it's 2 wings, you enter in the middle.
The site also inspired John to draw from America's iconic case study houses. These were 36 prototype homes built between 1945 and 66 to show how new housing could be cheaply constructed during the post-war building boom. This historic experiment was concentrated around Los Angeles and redefined yet again the modernist villa.
Most of the case study houses were steel framed. Very thin steel frame will give you a lot of bang for your buck. You can do crazy things, big spans, glass walls, rather than one thing sitting on the other. And then a little later on, I realized if you could just stick this house out a bit, you'd be up in the air and it'd be amazing. And by placing that wing out, it faced due south. So it looks straight down the estuary, 7 miles. Can't beat that. That's my California moment, if you want one.
But California is not Cornwall, where coastal storms can pack a real punch.
We've had 85-mile-an-hour winds full force onto the glass.
Against this face
Yeah,
here.
and you see the glass move in that kind of wind. So the doors themselves, the sliding doors, are strengthened with steel bars to cope with that kind of wind loading.
And then there's this as well, I suppose, that to do with holding the thing up.
Yeah, that's a support for the cantilever, so there's a similar one underneath which anchors it to the ground.
The original design didn't have those in, but actually we're now quite happy that they're there. We're living here in winter, which we hadn't done before.
In addition to the columns, the cantilever has a main anchor, the massive chimney stack that rises right out of the ground.
This is actually structural, so it goes the whole way through the building.
It's marvellous in the winter. A glass of red wine in front of the log fire can't beat it. It's fantastic.
The level of finish is clean and sharp everywhere.
It's quite a pleasure to actually cook, you know, and look out at the sea When you come up the drive, it's fantastic. You know, you see the sea, but then if somebody's in the kitchen, you see them doing what they're doing and the movement in the room, and it's just really delightful.
And there are lots of mini cantilevers carefully placed through the building.
You probably noticed everything about the house and the furniture's cantilevered. We worked with John and these craftspeople and ourselves in designing what it was we wanted.
It's only really from above that you understand how the cranked L shape of the house maximises the plot by fitting tightly along the hillside's contours. John Pardey has extracted the maximum juice from this site and invented a new minimalist cocktail for living.
So this is where we keep our cookery books, which is nice and close to the kitchen. Just come across the entranceway and pick out what we want to cook for the evening.
So each one of these is a cupboard?
Yeah.
Yes.
All the way along here?
Yeah.
The full length of the house?
Every room in this house drinks in a key ingredient of the cocktail, the magnificent views. Downstairs, there's plenty of direct access onto the garden. There's a media room, a study for Helen, and a guest bedroom.
Oh, it's another incredible view.
This is our outdoor dining space, really.
So that barbecue is the same piece of structure as the fireplace upstairs. And from here, the cantilever really does something special. Having that volume above you, it really does frame this incredible widescreen view across here.
That's one of the best aspects of this site down here, is that line across just really brings this view to perfection.
Connection, refreshment, and respite. What more could you ask of the modern villa?
This house does connect with the landscape in a really amazing way. The plan opens up to embrace this terrain, and this incredible cantilever lifts itself up and allows the landscape to go through underneath. That's the masterstroke.
We've now seen 4 of the 5 houses in this programme. One more to go before we discover which of them has made it onto the shortlist. And I can tell you, the last one comes out fighting. This is Jersey, an island that had to defend itself against both extreme weather and hostile invasions. When we build in our landscape, we forget that actually much of where we live is also seascape. We are a maritime nation, and we have also developed a language of architecture that reflects that, from Art Deco white hotels to kiss-me-quick seaside cottages. Thing is, though, the architecture that lasts is the architecture that can resist everything that the Atlantic can throw at us. I mean, the best buildings, really, are made from the materials, time-honoured ones, from which things like Martello towers and docks and lighthouses and ships were constructed. Steel, concrete, granite. And those are the materials from which you can build a fortress. And this house is a fortress and a 3-storey family home. It's covered in tough Core 10 steel, set behind granite walls, and its roof is low to resist incoming storms. This 472 square metre house is arranged as 2 separate wings, opening out from a central spine. In one wing sits the first floor kitchen, dining room, snug and living room. In the other wing, there's the master bedroom, dressing room and bathroom. Downstairs are 3 more bedrooms and a media room and sauna for good measure. The main staircase is the hinge right in the middle of the 2 wings. And right at the top in the lookout are a guest bedroom and a study.
How very cool and grey. Oh, wow! Good grief. How exciting. Beam me up, Scotty. Well, actually, no, not really, because this is too good. This is too intriguing, this place.
The first thing you notice is that it's actually quite hard to get a good view of the sea, partly because of the building's hunkered low roof.
I can't even see the horizon. Not even when I bend down. I have to step down from the kitchen into the dining area and then step down again. In a conventional open plan building, this would all be on one level. It would all be open. You'd have no dividing walls. And you'd have large expanses of glass. Here, the windows are low. They kind of demand that you get down. So there's a funny thing going on that these windows only work properly in terms of delivering a view when you sit down. Now, all of them work, that you can see sky in all of them. This is a house for sitting down in.
I call that a treat, really. The design is practical too. The roof's overhang protects many of the windows.
Whereas on this side, the windows deliver a very different kind of relationship with the outdoors. Oh, listen. I mean, not to the roller bearings, but to the sea. See, when people talk about letting the outside in and the inside out, this is what they mean. It's about the full sensory experience of architecture. You can smell the salt, you can feel the breeze, you can hear the waves.
Building your stronghold is one thing, but architect Anthony Hudson had to make sure it also had everything to offer as a family home.
You wouldn't normally build something like this right next to the sea because you'd want to see the sea, but it's just fantastic enclosure protecting you from the devastating westerlies and the gales. It's all about defence, and that's the defence against the rain, or the wind, the weather, and then referring to the history of defence of Jersey.
Yeah, because all along the coast here, it's a continuous line of fortifications,
it's amazing.
with sea walls and Martello towers and gun emplacements, and this sort of takes its place.
Absolutely. You get these wonderful Napoleonic Martello towers and then the German defences. And it's a sort of constant theme which has come into the house very much.
Yeah, with some pretty solid materials. I mean, there's granite, concrete, Corten steel, really robust, defensive.
Yeah, and it's all about that weathering. I mean, you don't want a house which you need to keep on maintaining. So certainly anything which would look ghastly after a few years of gales and wind and stuff being thrown at it was written off right at the beginning.
The rooted robustness and sense of belonging this house has is thanks largely to the way Anthony reused granite taken from the site's original building, a 1920s folly.
There's a lot of granite here, so we've got wonderful granite workers working on the building and just love their trade. I mean, it's one of those things, it takes you back to the days of, I suppose, kind of medieval craftsmen. You just let them do what they do best and not control them.
The head stonemason works locally on the island.
My father passed the trade on to me. He taught me everything that I know now. And that's pretty much how it's gone with everybody in Jersey. You find quite a lot of stonemasons, a lot of their fathers were stonemasons as well. There seems to be a bit of a theme there. So yeah, it's pretty much passed on through the generations, and it's not an easy job.
For this house, the masons were asked to blend 3 different types of Jersey's granite. Over 70% was what's known as Letac grey. Each piece has its own particular shape.
We haven't a plan when we build these things. Everything's built as we pick it up, as we find it, which is also fairly unique. A lot of people build to a pattern.
The masons puzzled their way through almost 90 tons of Jersey stone to build what looks like a modern-day keep.
From here, you really appreciate now the protective way this building is organised around this corner. It all hinges on that central column. Whoa! And there's another story on top, a lookout tower. Oh, what a fantastic medieval cast concrete staircase. Study with a view, of course, that you only get to see properly when you sit down. How brilliant is that? That is, in a way, the money shot.
And sharing this defensive crow's nest is a guest bedroom.
This is like having a sort of Martello tower buried within the walls of the building. And I'm guessing, yes, of course, that you get this fantastic view of the horizon, not from just sitting in a chair, but also from lying in bed.
On stormy days, you can always seek refuge below thanks to a helical masterpiece.
So down the very compelling Core 10 steel staircase to what looks like the hinge for the building. The brickwork here is stepped to reflect the angle at which this wing is set to that wing. It's more than 90 degrees. It almost looks as though if you put your back against here, you could kind of, squeeze and the wall would close, just like in a Harry Potter film. But of course, that's not the case, is it really? Sauna.
While this may resemble a Napoleonic Coast Guard station outside, indoors it is full of lovely private family spaces and comfy bolt holes.
Ooh, how lovely and spacious.
This house is powerful, a worthy addition to the German fortifications and Martello towers on this coast. But within the embrace of its walls, it is all glamour. The RIBA judges praised the quality of the design and the architect's sensitive use of materials.
Your idea of the perfect modern home may be that of a white, perfect crystalline box, minimally furnished and lined with glass partitions, whereas this place has been delivered to an entirely different agenda, and its crusty, dark, protective, fortress-like skin actually belies a different kind of architecture inside it. It may look like some kind of military installation, but it is proper humane architecture.
Autobiography and sensitivity to the site mark out all the 5 rural houses longlisted for the RIBA House of the Year 2016 that we've seen in this programme.
And now it's about time we found out which of these extraordinary new houses has made it onto the shortlist.
The RIBA panel of 5 judges have had to embrace the difficult task of narrowing down the field to decide on 2 shortlisted projects.
Meredith, this is a magnificent plywood model, and I'm guessing it's of one of the shortlisted houses.
This is Outhouse in the Forest of Dean. The architect was Chris Loyne.
Yeah.
Fantastic house, we thought.
What was special about it for you?
I think the main reason why it was lifted to the shortlist is just the strength of its idea. You know, this is a big, bold house. It's a big idea, you know, running the contour road right through the middle of the house, one half buried into the hill with light from above. The other side taking advantage of those views. It's a fantastically strong idea, and yet it's quite a subtle, discreet house. It's almost, I think, like a house as a city. You know, it's got different parts to it. It's got a working area, it's got a street down the middle. I mean, fantastic idea which creates these surprising spaces.
We're on the shortlist. Hooray!
Very nice, very nice.
Wonderful. And I'm mostly thrilled for the people who have designed it and built it. And it's just been a wonderful experience.
So, Chris Loyne's Outhouse is the first to make the grade, and the head judge has a second to announce.
So Meredith, tell me about the next house that you shortlisted.
So this one is the wonderfully named Ansty Plum in Wiltshire.
So why did you shortlist it?
Well, I think this is an era which we're beginning to realise there's a lot to treasure. And this is a very intelligent refurbishment and stripping it back, actually, to what the original house and the subsequent studio was all about.
So this is for a sort of imaginative reinterpretation and sort of revitalisation of the old building.
It is, but also in some ways I think it's a celebration of restraint. You know, this is not a big grand project. In fact, it was taking away as much as it was putting in, and it's suggesting that to make a house that is for today to live in needn't be much different to a house from 50 or 60 years ago. We don't need lots of grand bathrooms. We don't need much more than the simple house it originally was. So they're taking it back, making it the simple original house and saying that's enough.
That is fantastic.
I
think it's fantastic that this house is recognised because obviously we're standing on the shoulders of giants.
And so for this precious little thing that so many people have loved so dearly and worked so hard towards, it's very, very special.
Ansty Plum and Outhouse are the first of our houses to make it onto this year's shortlist. And over the series, we will continue to root out the most inspiring new homes in the country.
Now, you might say that all these expensive boxes and even more expensive locations populated by expensive furniture are irrelevant. We can dream of such perfect states of existence, but actually these buildings have no real bearing on our lives, which is wrong, because every good modern flat, every properly designed, developer-built contemporary home borrows from ideas honed, perfected and polished in houses in this competition. We need exemplars in our world. Without wildly expensive restaurants, for example, there is no Taste the Difference Wiltshire ham. What you see in these houses today influences the design of your home tomorrow.